Yeah. And then the initial storyboard with that. I so it's not like I'm starting from scratch with with a bunch of my storyboards. Like I've kind of been in personal mental reset, restart, false start, stuff like that. So a lot of just work on has been me exploring how I actually write. So, that plus figuring out my writing tics, and, I read screenwriting books and writing novel books. A lot of writing books are very novel focused. Like a lot of the writing books I found more focused on screenwriting or writing novels specifically. There are some writing books when it comes to like writing college essays or research papers. I might glance at those just to see if there's any insight into getting smaller things done, but I think one thing that I asked about my author friends when it comes to writing a story is like, essentially writing is still writing regardless if you're writing a video game, or if you're writing a comic, or if you're writing a novel, because it's still the same principles of storytelling. You have a character who goes through a change, and as long as you're at least remembering that and remembering things like setting things up to pay it off later, I'm overall solid. So that's kind of one thing that I do see with a lot of both writing advice stuff from YouTube, talking with writer friends, and also, reading screenwriting books, is as long as I make sure that I pay off the stuff that I'm setting up, or if I'm putting a random thing in there, that I set it up a little earlier so it's not completely out of left field. Like, for all of its issues, James Gunn's Superman movie was actually a masterclass in things that set up and things that pay off and things like that. So I'm pretty, I'm getting more aware of stuff like that. And I'm also getting more aware of things like, I'm also kind of like getting this point in my like mental critique where instead of like assuming a movie's bad or good, I'm now kind of in this doctoring phase where I figure out, okay, this movie's bad, but how could I have made it better, or how could I have made it cohesive? There's this one movie called Good Fortune, and it's a movie with Keanu Reeves and Aziz Ansari and Seth Rogen. Essentially, it's a body switching movie where, Aziz Ansari is a poor, he's a poor guy in LA, and Seth Rogen is a rich tech bro type. And then Keanu Reeves is a, I guess, guardian angel who, he helps Aziz Ansari by switching his body with Seth Rogen's body, so they switch lives. And of course, the big comedy moment is, hey, it's, you think, oh, being rich is not all it's cracked up to be. Well, actually, it is all that's cracked up to be, and that ends up being a problem. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, that's kind of cool and all, but I feel like it kind of just repeats itself, where it's like a lot of the sadness parts that Aziz Ansari's had to go through when he was poor, now Seth Rogen's doing, and sort of just going through that same beat, and not really like adding too much to it other than Seth Rogen's doing it. I feel like if you reduce the scenes with Rogen, because we've already gone through that would at least trim it down to more of the focus of Aziz learning that not only is being rich not absolutely worth everything, but, money doesn't like solve either being a shitty person and being alone in spirit and stuff like that. And also, there's a subplot where, because Keanu wasn't supposed to switch their bodies, he ends up losing his wings and his angel stuff, and he has to live his life as a human. That's like a subplot. And I actually kind of like that subplot. I kind of wish I actually kind of wish that that was kind of a more significant thing. Like, there's so many ways that you could take it. You could take it where either Seth Rogen's the main character and he's like this total big doofus. He's an asshole and stuff like that. It could be like one of those rich to poor moments where he humbles himself from living a life of being poor and stuff like that. Or it could focus on Aziz being poor and he's with human Keanu and they're trying to live their life being poor and stuff like that. It's all over the place at the moment. Good Fortune's a decent 7 out of 10 movie. I'd never heard of it. Initially I was going to the theater to watch Tron Ares, but I'm like, I am not chomping at the bit to watch Tron Ares. And then I literally just saw the poster for Good Fortune, you know what? When's the last time I've seen a non-John Wick, Keanu Reeves movie? I'm sure it's probably not going to be that exceptional, but I also thought, when's the last time I saw a 7 out of 10 movie? An actual mid movie. A movie that was a big notable blockbuster or a giant CGI trash fest. Something that's, it's more of a down-to-earth, obscure, not part of a sequel, not part of a franchise movie. It's been a while. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna see it just for that. So that's literally just what I decided to do, is just I watched Good Fortune. There was also The Roof Man, which I also want to watch, mostly because I like that concept of a freaking burglar who hides in a store. I think there was one history. I think there's a YouTube documentary which could tell me more about that story. It's one of those just funny little things. But the concept of the Roof Man kind of fascinates me, so I'll either look out for the documentary on that or may just actually watch the movie when it comes out. But it's been so long since I've actually seen a non-franchise movie in a theater. Well, actually, no, because I saw Everything Everywhere at Once, or Everything Everywhere All at Once in theaters, and I really liked that. So yeah, I really liked that, so that was pretty alright. In fact, I still think it's the best multiverse movie ever. I wouldn't be surprised if it was... I feel like Everything Everywhere All at Once is to multiverse movies what Back to the Future is to time travel movies. Where I just feel like it's that gold standard of just doing that type of show. Because it's really good at showing not just the potential of alternate universes, but also that philosophical hang-up where it's well, if every choice matters, none of them matter. And dealing with that, just the crushing weight of, that existential nothing matters thing. And, it's really good at, posing that question and then answering that question in a fairly profound way. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking it's one of those artsy-fartsy movies. It's really not. It's got a bunch of really dumb, crass humor in it. So it's kind of one of those things where it's not stuffy, it's not like a crazy artsy film. It's a really good romp. That's basically how I would recommend that's how I would recommend Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's the Back to the Future of multiverse movies, so to speak. So that's how I would say that.